order.
That's what ATV
Waste
is.
Management Monitoring Committee. Roll call, please.
Alrighty, Marvin Wolf,
Here.
Harvey Schweitzer,
Here.
Roland Kiefer,
Here.
Melvin Hebron,
Here.
William Faye,
Here.
Sudarshan Sharma,
Present.
and then we also have Joe Spear from JSA Environmental. Where is Joe?
Be back.
Okay, sorry. Brad Vanderkin from Waste Management, and also Madeline Sherwinski from Waste Management, welcome. And also Alice Wolf, resident over there. And the meeting was posted in accordance with the open meeting law.
Okay, we'll move on to item 2, approval of the minutes from August 3rd. Everybody should have got a copy of that.
I make a motion to approve.
We have a motion on the floor to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Financial report. Everybody should have got a copy of that. For August meetings. Any questions or comments on the financial report? We have a motion to approve. Okay, we have a second.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. New business, Joe Spears.
Where would you like me to start? Well sampling or audits?
Why don't we start with well?
Okay.
We'll
So
go right down to,
everybody should have a copy of the well sampling in front of them.
yeah.
And this, like last year, is pretty much a clean run. There is a new constituent that we have not seen in our historic sampling, but it is not anything to panic about. It's manganese, which is naturally occurring. They changed the MCL, the maximum contaminant level, for the secondary drinking water standard in 2022. So we had 2 tests that came back at 0.015 over the MCL, which is 0.05 micrograms per liter. It's not a health threat at half, at 0.5 per liter. It is. This is a discoloration, but I noticed, I went back and checked, both samples were still clear, so it is not enough contamination to have any real impact. The homeowners are at no risk. And because there were 4 additional J flags, this is where the LOD is not met, but they're pretty certain that the product is there. Because of 4 J flags, I'm concerned it was a trip length issue, but this is the first time Davies has lost or broken the trip length. So I will bring this up next year when we talk about selecting. I don't think 1 trip length's enough to toss Davies. I'm just surprised. So I have the results with me in case anybody had any direct questions, but for the most part, like I said, it's iron, manganese, and sulfate. There's no VOCs. Your floor is obviously cured, so it didn't give off any. We didn't sample around the guy who likes to spray paint cars, so no toluene, no surprise hits whatsoever.
Okay, where the 2, you said 2 houses were affected. Were they side by side?
No, but they're not far apart either.
They're not far apart.
They're both on Oakwood.
They're both on Oakwood.
And
Okay.
like I said, manganese shows up. It's just never showed up above the MCL before.
Right, okay.
And normally, one of the things that freeze manganese mobilizes it is organic breakdown. But I should see a pH change, I should see temperature changes, I should see all sorts of other chemical interactions, not just one element change. So one element, I figure the bedrock's just breaking down. At some point, when it starts running out of sulfate, it's going to continue to erode, it's going to drop some other things. But increases in manganese and iron are not surprising. If it gets to that 0.5, that something will have to be done, and that's going to come down to details in the host agreement.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, we'll move on to landfill audit.
So I did not count how many I've done, but that's not true. In September, I only made 1 audit. Brad and I both did a little bit of travel, and we just never managed to get things to meet up. The site has had 2 odor complaints the entire year. I believe both were dealt with by Cover. Cover has definitely been improved, and the working face was a lot smaller the last 2 times I was out. The new cell, it looks like, because I wasn't in there, are they, that one dozer just pushing stone back and forth? They had to do some
We've been
repairs on
about
the
2
liner.
weeks out for the last 4 weeks. Let's put that.
So in the grand scheme of things, the site has been operating well. There's been tracking complaints, and both sites have stepped up their care of the 45. I don't have anything that approaches an action item or a reoccurring offense.
Okay.
I got a question, the odor complaints. You said one of the complaints was over in St. Martin's, is that correct?
Yeah, I get odor complaints as far away as the retirement home out on 108, but I have to respond to the city. So that we were pretty certain that ended up being H2S in the sewer system.
Okay.
It didn't happen this year. Sorry. In the past, I've responded as far away as
Okay,
that.
sure.
So if they make a complaint to City Hall or to Brad Switchboard, it's considered a complaint. We respond to it. How I write it up and how we include it in the annual report, that has an impact. So I want to say
Do you really think it's coming from the hill?
No,
Okay.
no. And I think I voiced that, Martin.
Yeah.
Well, we've gone through.
Yeah.
But no, and like
Numerous times.
the old folks home or the retirement facility, my apologies. That was definitely H2S in the sewer. And we were having odors and fire alarms all over the city, 2021. And yeah, at one point, the
That
landlord
was
got blamed
COVID
for it.
though.
Right.
Blame it on COVID.
Yep.
We got.
They blame everything else on
But the
COVID.
thing about it, years ago, it was nothing to get 20, 30 complaints in a month.
Right.
35 a month.
Yeah.
And we, in the past now, a year or two, it's been nothing. So they're doing something right.
Yeah.
I lived there my whole life, so, plus I work in it, I don't notice it. If it smells, it's gotta really smell
Yeah.
for me to really notice it. And that's only if I'm inside the landfill, I might smell it.
When the
We've gotten them as far away as 35th and Rawson.
But that was an odor complaint from the landfill, that was just an odor complaint.
They came in as an odor complaint from the landfill.
we identify it as the landfill up until it's been researched.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's how it was, they complained way over there.
I
But we prove them wrong with,
Yeah, I prefer it that way. That way, there's no argument that nobody didn't investigate. Oh, it's landfill. Well, that's done.
Yep.
At least wherever it is, somebody
You
investigates.
did it the
Do you
right,
have? Do you still
did
have
it the
a
right way.
third-party person that goes around for you?
No,
Okay.
it's pretty much me or the gas tech or an operator
Yeah.
for my site who will investigate. Like I said, they're pretty few and far between these days, so we don't really need any extra help at this point.
I get them when I respond to. So it's not just looking,
Years ago, okay. Oh boy, that's pretty right today, but I don't smell it
Take one, pass it.
at all no more.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've changed a lot of procedures over the years.
That's what I mean.
The cover's better and everything else.
And so has the neighboring land.
Yeah,
Done
that
the
was
same
part of it
thing.
too.
Yeah, that's,
And they've done a good job
Yeah.
What's the size of that header out to the new cell?
here. Past
24.
And what was the size of the headers
do I
out to
take
6 and
one or
7?
no?
Yeah, take one and pass it.
Oh, okay.
They're 12s. Right?
Just one.
So you just
You
changed
can
the
take two
technology,
if you
period.
want.
So. Yeah. So the
Take one, pass it along, he said.
the state requires that you put in gas extraction when gas is present over its lengths, or within 3 years. Well, 3 years has now become this ridiculous time period. But you know how slow it is to change legislation. So this time, Waste Management, before they started even placing waste, ran 24-inch headers out to the landfill, the new cell, to collect gas. So it was already there, they just had to put the wells in to tie it into. In the past, no matter what site it is, even if they're proactive, they still don't have that drawing material, the vacuum already out there. But having it already out there just means they just put in a well, slap a leader on it, and they draw gas. It makes for a huge difference in the time response to odor complaints.
I would also say there's added pressure about methane emissions with greenhouse gas initiatives and everything like that. So there's more focus on it from a corporate level, which goes down to our level basically. So
Yeah, the EPA says it's 27 times more of a greenhouse gas than CO2.
so we're monitoring our.
Excuse me.
We're putting in different gas infrastructure and monitoring things a lot closer than they maybe did 10 years ago. So that helps.
Okay. Well sampling contract?
Well, it would have helped if I had brought the contract. So I guess in all my printing I didn't. So I do have the invoice for this last year, which we normally share with you.
Right.
If you take a look at it, it took me 60 hours to do this year's project. At $95 an hour, that would be $5,600. I bill you guys I bill you $5,000 for the contract, and you get a discount at $4,750. So this was along for the contract, but there's no changes to the contract. I can send it to Marvin electronically. It's the same price, the same turnaround time.
Any questions about the contract?
I can share it with Katie so everybody can see it. I can't believe I didn't print it.
We've always been happy, I don't
But the well sampling report was more important.
I mean, we've been all happy with the, and the
Yeah.
service we've been getting, so we don't seem to be looking for change. Yeah. And I look at it this way, why reinvent the wheel?
You got it.
We get all the answers we want right now.
And I'll bring it up again in September just to make sure.
Okay. So,
Or August, sorry.
August, yes. Any other questions from the board for Joe? Not hearing any, do we have a motion to approve his presentation?
So move.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Come on, Rolly, slow it down. It's only 10 minutes. So.
Okay, we'll go on to waste management report. Correspondence with DNR.
I was gonna say, it's a pretty short list for me. I mean, we do have a decent amount going on, but everything's kind of going well. So correspondence, Tony is out. He replaced Jerry, so he's a new DNR, our new DNR rep. He did a compliance monitoring inspection on the cell. Nothing to note on that. I believe he's planning to come back out in November, the middle of November again, to kind of look at things again. I'll just jump right to construction. That's why Tony was out, but we're continuing construction in 3B. We're working on some piping work yet that should be wrapped up in two weeks. In 2 weeks, hopefully.
Well, what's the problem?
There is a welding, so
I know the problem.
Super Wester's our contractor working on the work, and they are self-completing the piping work where they maybe didn't have quite the experience that they thought they had with that piping work, so it's just taking them a little bit longer figuring out how things work. They got to do some air testing and some more welds to get everything done, but they're hoping to have it all wrapped up in the next 2 weeks. So we're happy with how everything's going. It's just taking longer than expected. So it's as long they'll get it done before deer hunting. I'm pretty sure about that.
Yeah.
So
You still got
I
the
wish they'd just get out of there.
yeah.
You got the documentation.
Finish and get out of
still,
there.
right?
Yep. Yep. We also have LDP. They're going to be doing our gas work. They're putting in a new gas header right now. That's where you can see a little bit of work on the old hill right now, kind of behind the junkyard. And then they're looking to do installs on wells starting November 13th. So we're going to send out a letter tomorrow. We just got their updated schedule today, so Heather's going to get those letters out to the local residents saying,
Send a copy to me.
yep, get your copy. So November 13th is their estimated starting for wells there. How many wells we put in? Do you remember?
Roughly 20.
About 20 wells.
Okay.
That you're
About-
putting in?
Yeah.
Additional.
Additional, yep.
Oh, additional or replacement wells.
Yeah, combination.
Oh, yeah, right,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
What
So
are they?
if there are wells that weren't producing and weren't doing well, then we're abandoning them and replacing them with a new well.
Oh,
So,
Yeah, the wells aren't like your drinking water well. You know, with the activity around them, they snake all over.
oh,
So eventually they can get pushed far enough that they snap, or waste fills them in. So yeah, the wells migrate everywhere.
oh.
so yeah, that'll be in the next couple weeks here, and then we're also working on potential expansion footprint. So we've been doing some wetland delineations, working with DNR on determining what are navigable waterways, what aren't, to maybe look at what that potential footprint would look like in order to determine what our next expansion might look like. But in order to get that expansion, I think it takes quite a bit of time. So
10 years.
we're about 7-8 years of life left at our current run rates based on what we have going on now. So we're going to keep moving forward on that expansion as we come across here. And
Would that be the last expansion that there's room for?
that would probably, I don't want to say that for sure, but we're going to be pretty tight on space after that,
Unless they expand it over the road or?
unless we look at different options. Yeah, yep. So that'll be one at a time.
Would they ever permit to go higher?
I think that might be tough with the airport.
And you got the Ford rule
Yeah. Yep.
and the wetlands. Well, of course, you can't have a landfill without wetlands around it, so that's guaranteed.
Yeah.
But the bird strike potential is too high. And you also have to get all the communities to agree.
Sorry to say, but I'd rather go up than out. And I think everybody would. But you got the people that,
Well, they can't go up without going out somewhere.
well, I understand, but I'd rather go
They've already
up
got their-
instead of
yeah, they've
moving
already got their best buttressing in place.
across the road and starting there. You
Well, instead of
understand what I
starting
mean?
new, that's my thing, is you start a new one, it's just,
Don't worry, you'll be
That's
retired
terrible.
by that time.
I'm planning on
Yeah,
I'm planning on
probably
being
will.
dead myself, but
Yeah, it's JP, I'm retired already.
the real issue is this site is unique in its geological placement. The clay is just perfect. It makes more sense to give up some environmental risk here than to employ it other places. So I'm doing I'm providing this service for the town of Darien and Paris now as well, and it's really odd. Their soils are, because I'm used to this, used to the two sites. Their soil's crap.
Oh, it is.
I mean, it's
It is.
just shocking that it somehow got approved, but it's
Well, that's because they
glacial
haul,
loam.
they take
Right, they haul it from up here.
from here down to,
Yeah, that's just what I told the town of Darien. I said, as long as Mallard Ridge is owned by the same firm that owns Emerald Park or Metro, they have access to clay.
Yes.
Without that, they don't have the ability to expand their site.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I hate to say it, and I know that Franklin is serious about their green corridor, but being able to have a landfill that has a safety margin as high as Metro's, and I won't say that outside of this, is worth it. You know, it just comes down to that. Emerald Park, the same argument. You know, as long as they have expansion space, they should probably fight for it. And the area communities will benefit. I mean, it's not like it's a hazard zone. But yeah, your neighbors are going to complain. Other counties are going to bitch because they don't have the money. I mean, it's not going to be pretty when it does. It's not this expansion, but the one after that.
Kind of go with it someplace.
well, you gotta go somewhere, and if you really look at the population, the density, it's the place to put landfills. I mean, the soil's there, and there's not that many people out there.
yeah.
You can't move this to the other side of Franklin, where it's great, crazy.
The other part of the problem is that agreement said that they aren't supposed to come out of the box. You know, so in order to do that, we'd have to sit
Good.
down and negotiate
A new agreement.
And there ain't
A whole
nothing wrong
new-
with it, and there ain't nothing wrong with that.
a
That's
whole
what
new
it's all
agreement.
about.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, but
But
you-
see, the thing is, the environmental corridor that's around it Nothing's been done with it. It's still staying original. Okay, if something was to be done with it, then you'd have a problem. But as long as it stays the way it is now, there might be a chance, you know.
Well, if it's an environmental corridor, it's got restrictions on building and density anyway.
Right.
So.
Yeah, but I don't think they implemented any of the protection services yet.
They did not implement anything.
Yeah.
They didn't turn any land over to the
So
communities
it's a
or
green,
nothing.
it's a green corridor by name.
Green corridor by name, but nothing has changed as far as ownership. Like, we got the Raymond Barrow pit, which was supposed to go to town of Raymond, it
Right.
didn't go. We've got it on 112th Street going down, that was supposed to come to Franklin, that hasn't changed. You know, Waste Management still controls those properties yet. So, you know, maybe it's a good thing that they still control them. We just gotta get the right people in the right frame of mind to be able to understand.
Now, Mel might not like to hear this, but actually, some of the town board members on Raymond said they'd be glad to have them jump the road and start straight south of where they are right now, so they get the money. I'm just saying, that's what,
I understand it's a
Some of
money
them-
issue.
yeah.
Yeah, I understand that.
I don't know if you're gonna like that, Mel. I don't.
But it's not a money
I'm closer
issue
than
as
you, and
much
I'm
as
sitting there
it's
scratching my head.
And
Having
what
the
we
right
have
clay
here.
is what it is.
Yeah.
good old clay.
It's a good old clay.
Just
It's
like
gotta-
he says, you go down there and the other one, what do they have? Loam.
Yeah,
They have
it is.
nothing but problems.
It's barely.
Go up
it
north
barely
and it's all
passes.
sand.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do up there? Yeah,
You
you
gotta-
gotta have that clay to hold it
It's
in.
like
Got it.
50,000 cubic
And that I
yards.
understand,
Crushed topography
yeah.
up north.
So,
Well, as your consultant, I want to make sure this is very clear. I can hear my father yelling in the back of my head. Do not open your host agreement unless you absolutely have to. But also, as your consultant sitting with the committee, I've been here for, crap, next year's 20 years. You should, if you're going to open the host agreement, do it when you've got the most knowledgeable committee. I mean, right now, you've got so many people that have been on the committee for a while, that you've got real history, especially, you know, Harvey, Rowley, people that were around for the original siting agreement. So again, don't open it. You know, get an attorney. You don't need an engineer to open it. That's not.
no.
I mean, I can help, but I'm not the person you want.
No.
But if you're gonna open it, I recommend that you do it while the committee's really strong and knowledgeable.
yeah, I mean, like I said, there's quite a few of
Yeah.
us here. I've got well over 15 years here. And that, you know, people with knowledge of what's going on and how we wanna do it. You know, but I don't know if at this time we'd wanna open it, you know, right now.
Well, like I said, I just, those are my two
Yeah.
words of wisdom. Don't open it, right? Because that's what the old man always told me. And two, if you're going to, you know, you might want to consider doing it sooner while you have, you know, like I said, I don't plan on being around here for that expansion. I don't want to be buried in it, but it would be nice to be gone.
Yeah.
So-
But the other thing is too, we're gonna look at what the next expansion is for them, okay? And how bad it's gonna restrict them. You know, because the problem is to start a new one, it's tons of money. And to find the right location, you know, here you got one in Milwaukee County, you know, with the right soil.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the whole county line split too. You have to
Yeah.
remember, they're not just a separate enterprise, but because of the county line, the waste centroid for the two sites are considered separate.
Right. You know, so I mean, there's a lot to look at if we would decide to look at it.
Hey,
Yeah.
this board was around before we were, and this board will be around after we're gone.
Yeah.
And you will have some good members on it.
Yeah.
Yep. It might
Well,
be-
the other thing is too, after they close, we're around 40 years afterwards,
Yeah.
according to the host agreement. We've got to monitor this for 40 years
You go down to
after they're
Shepherd,
closed.
you go to, close
But
sites.
that's,
Yeah.
that might be 120 years from now.
Yeah, we don't
Yeah,
know.
right. No, I'm
And
curious.
I just think.
We
All
have
right,
to-
them two are the youngest in the,
Yeah, that
right
makes-
there. They probably won't see it close.
No, well, that's the whole thing. How can you really close it when you have to find a place for the garbage? You know,
Just
unless
think
you can
that
come up with an alternative for it.
You've got to look at the political aspect of Franklin, because across the street they've purchased the next farm north, so they have considerable space And if there's a green corridor, I think that the city would do the entire Milwaukee County a favor if they would put a little bit of verbiage together to kind of protect that for the future of landfill. Not let it develop into residential, because now it can't go in my backyard.
Well,
That's
the
the
way that
screen.
the green corridor is set up, it can't go residential.
Yes.
The way it was set up with the contract.
Yeah.
As long as there's, your politicians are gonna stick to that, that's.
Well, I
That's
mean,
the
our
problem.
contract says that cannot go residential or commercial. It has to say a green environmental corridor. Because I was on that contract committee. Yeah, so it's basically, and like Rolly said, it's minimal amount of development can be done on that properties. You know, so that I do know is, you know, how much, because we really fought on that. You know,
And depending on which school of thought, landfills are kind of a green environment as well. I mean, getting greener,
Yeah.
to their credit.
Four converted diesel engines and one turbine engine with a goal of running another turbine next year.
It would be nice if you had the turbines.
Well, it's just like we said
Docks are a
before.
little lower.
10 years ago, how many complaints would you get? What are we getting in the last couple of years? You're being good neighbors. And every year it's better.
And look at how much money they're putting into the coffer,
You got it.
the city's coffer, you know, I mean, and they're participating in the community, you know, like the 4th of July and stuff like that too, as good neighbors.
It was
Yeah.
285 complaints in 1 month that caused City of Franklin to come looking for a consultant.
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, you know,
But out of them, all them complaints, how much was Advance or BFI at the time causing
Well,
it?
it turns out that they weren't covering it all. That the site operators, the gentlemen on the heavy equipment, were actually trying to put the screws to the manager.
yeah.
So I'm thinking every complaint, but there could have been additional odors from the other site.
Yes.
But I'm thinking every complaint definitely was coming off Waste Management because they had purposely set it up to do it.
Well, there's times that I would get out, park up front, look at the flag
Yep.
coming straight out of the west. Man, does that place over there stink?
Both sites definitely give off odor. I prefer when they smell like garbage, because by the end of the day that should be done.
Mhm.
And when they cover, when they smell like gas, I feel bad for them because they should feel like they're losing money. So, but
Oh, then they come out with that perfume. That was well before your
I don't
time.
know. But
I went and told
Freaking
Hackman, I go,
black.
get rid of it. It's giving me a headache. I'd
Freaking
rather smell the garbage.
black cherry, it smelled like NyQuil everywhere you drove.
It didn't smell that good.
No,
I know.
It'd give me a headache. I'd rather smell the garbage. I told him that.
fine, it smelled like NyQuil vomit the next day.
Oh,
It was nasty.
thank God we're not at that point anymore.
Okay,
finish
any
up
more questions for
I was
Brad?
gonna say I'll finish up site operations and then I'm done. But we're filling in 2B yet. We're coming to the south. We're gonna try and get everything on one level before we go into our fluff lift, which will probably be in January before we get into that new cell. With that, trying to get that all to one level and needing to close an area up, we changed our entrance road into the landfill, so now it's basically on the east side. So hoping that'll help us out a little bit with track out this winter, spring, as well. So solving a few problems for us. And then tonnage has kind of been sporadic. We've been getting a few small dirt jobs here and there in the late half of October, but otherwise it's been pretty consistent with trash coming out of Milwaukee.
Any other questions for Brad? Not hearing any, do we have a motion to approve?
Oh,
A second? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Okay. Any communications or miscellaneous business? Mr. Spears?
So I will be doing the audits before the 20th of November and also before the 20th of December. I'm taking the last week of November off for recovery from surgery, and I'm taking the last week of December off to go visit family. So, but I will get the 2 audits in, and my webpage will be up, I'll have my phone.
Okay.
So it just won't be out of the site.
Any other comments or miscellaneous business? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Oh, motion.
Do I have a
You need to
second?
try, Rose.
I'll second it.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Our next meeting will be
Thank you.
February 1st.